Hi everyone, good morning.
Morning.
I will start in 2 minutes. Bye. Okay, I think let's start. Okay, so yesterday we saw about the access modifiers. We have seen like all 4 types of access modifiers, along with like method returning value and method without returning value. So all that we have seen. So today let's start with the inheritance concepts. So inheritance is another important concept in OOPS. So why we use inheritance means we use that mainly for code reusability. So whenever you want to reuse the code, you can use the inheritance concept so that you can make the parent-child relationship. Because of that, you can from the child class itself, you can get to the you will be able to access the parent class information, like members of the parent class will be able to access it. So that's the main purpose of this one, code reusability, I mean inheritance. So let's see some example in that, so it will be clear. Right, so let me put some definition. So why we use inheritance? Inheritance is another OOPS concept which is used for code reusability. So if you would have written one function, each and every time you need not to rewrite it. So write that function or write that method in the parent class, and whenever you want to reuse it, just make a parent-child relationship and you can reuse that particular method from your child class itself. Code reusability. That is the main purpose we use. To make use of this concept, we have to make the parent-child relationship. Child relationship between the two classes. Relationship between the two classes. So one class will be the parent class, one class whichever having the protected keyword. Okay, one class will be the parent class. That means whichever class having the protected data members. So that we are going to use as the parent class protected members. The other class will be the other class will be the child class. Will be the child class. Okay, by using extends keyword, by using extends keyword. Okay, with the parent class, okay, and to make the parent class child, I will put this point there actually. Right. So as part of the protected access modifier itself, we have seen this. So we'll see one more example, and then we'll start with the method overloading. Yeah. So as usual, let's come to these parents. I mean, any package. Let's come to these access modifiers, or let's create another package also, not a problem. So go to this Java as usual and create a package inheritance come dot params dot inheritance. So here we are going to keep one. We are going to create one class. Later we'll decide. We will make that as the parent class. So I'm going to create a class in the name of employee. Okay, employee. So in this employee, we are going to have like empid. Okay, so let's say I want to have empid int empid. Let me unmute also. Int empid and emp name. Maybe let me use basic salary. Basic salary is double. So this is the data members. This employee has these data members, and the employee, let's say if you want to print this, let's say we'll write one method void print employee. Here let's use system dot out dot println. Let's say you can print emp id. If you want to concatenate in the same line also, you can do. If you want to do it in another line also, that is fine. System dot out dot println emp name system dot out dot println basic salary. Right. So now one class is ready. So wherever we want to reuse this, we can reuse this information. Suppose if you want to reuse this print employee, you can reuse it from other class. That is the main purpose of inheritance. So you may have a number of methods. So whichever method you want to reuse, you can reuse along with these data members also. If you want to pass some data, you can pass from there. All that you can do. So now one class is ready. The other class, it need not to be it need not to be in the same package. It can be anywhere. So, but if you want to make the relationship, we know we need to make these as the protected. So now make all these as the protected. Now I go to some other package. Maybe this inheritance. I go to any other package. Maybe you can create any another package also, or you can create one class from here also. You can access it. So let's create one class over here. Java class developer. Okay, in this class, let's say this developer class have some data members. Let's say double bonus double HRA. So this bonus class, I mean this developer class has some more information, and we can have some another method also in this method. This class also can have as usual other method. For example, print developer system dot out dot println bonus system dot out dot println HRA. Okay, so now this developer class wants to need to make use of the employee class information. For example, employee ID, EMP name, all that is there in the other class, wants to reuse that, so that you need not to once again declare all these employee name, employee ID and all that under developer class. So this is the main reason we use the inheritance concept, where you can reuse the parent class information. So if you want to make that relationship as per our definition, whichever class having the protected access modifier, that we are going to use as the parent class by using the extends keyword from the child class. So what you are going to do, you need to come to this public class developer. Here you can use the extends keyword, and you can mention the other class name. So that is employee. Okay, before using this extends keyword, that was as usual just a simple class. But whenever you use this extends keyword, this employee, in this context, employee is the parent class. Let me rename it. I think spelling mistake. That is a parent class. This is the left side is developer is the child class. So whenever you want to rename this, you can just go to refactor, rename, so that the class name also it will get renamed automatically. So employee, just click on the refactor, automatic. Oh, again mistake. Yeah, okay. The class name also automatically will get renamed. Okay, so now let's come to developer, and what happening? Employee spelling correct only. Yeah, that is correct only. We need to import it. So just mouse over here. click on the import class, because you need to import, because we are in the other package. So that from the other package you are trying to use, so that you need to import that class first. Just mouse over and click on the import, that will get imported. And now we have implemented the inheritance concept here. Here onwards, as usual, you can go back to, you can create one main function, public static void main string array works. You can create the object as yesterday also we discussed. You can create the object for the child class itself, so that you can reuse the parent class information along with child class information as usual. Child class information also you will be able to access, and parent class information also you will be able to access. So I'm going to create a object for the developer class. Put that developer class name, give the object reference variable. Right now, when you use new keyword, that is object now. Right. So developer is the object. Now using the developer object, you call the, let's say you want to call the print employee. Print employee is part of the parent class data you are able to access. And but we don't have any data, because if you would have given the constructor here, obviously that data will print, but we didn't introduce any constructor here. So if you want to pass some data, then directly you can pass the data from here itself before printing. Now if you print, it will print all null 0 only. If in case of integer, it will print 0. In case of double, it will print 0.0, and string means it will print null. I'll show you that. So from the developer child class, you are accessing the parent class information. You are printing that employee, and the child class itself having its own data members and methods, that also you will be able to access as usual. So that is print developer. I call this. In both the cases, we don't have constructor, and we are not also giving any values from anywhere, right? So that now if you print, it will print as null and 0 based on the data type. If it is an integer, it will print 0. If it is a double, it will print 0.0, and string means it will print null. Let's see that, and then we will pass the data. See here, employee ID is 0. For everything else, null it is printing. Then what happens? The double we have used for salary, right? Let's see that. It's not taking, I think. Let's go to employee. Employee ID, this is integer, string double in emp ID. This is emp name, basic salary. Okay, I was expecting this should be printing as the 0.0, but right now I think let's see that. Let's go to developer, print employee. Let me give one space here. Developer, I mean system dot out dot println. Now let's run this. Okay, it is printing as null actually. Let's, okay, anyway, we'll send the data. We'll see. So because that doesn't have any value, so as per the rule, just you can directly access the data member as well. So in data, for data member, it will be showing as field. For method, it will be showing as the M, that is method. So now let's access employee ID and give some value. Let's say I'm giving 100. Developer dot emp name. I give developer dot basic salary equal to, I give some salary. So that is, since we have declared as the double, you can give the decimal point. That is the purpose of double in data type, right? So after that, we are printing the employee. So these information has to print. After that, for the developer also, you can give some values, right? So if you don't have default value, if you don't have any constructor, then you can directly assign the value from here also. So go to HRA.
So can I create a constructor here as well, Rama?
Constructor here for child class, you can create the constructor here. But for the parent class, you need to create the constructor there only. Wherever you have the class, there you have to create the constructor for the parent class.
Even that constructor will get invoked when I create object.
Yeah, it will get invoked. I will show you that. So let's execute this. So let's give some value for HRA. Developer.HRA equal to 10,000. It is giving error here. Double integer. Okay, somewhere we have declared as the integer. Oh, okay. So we declared this as the double, right? So we need to give point decimal point also. That's the reason. And developer dot bonus. Let's say bonus some 5,000 I give. This is also, since we declare as the double, we have to give decimal point. So now let us run this. Now all printed correctly. So this is the employee ID, employee name, basic salary. This is HRA and bonus. From the child class information, we are printing this. So if at all you want to use constructor, then as usual, you can define that as also as the protected. So I go to the employee class. I will introduce constructor. What is the rule for constructor? What I need to write if I want to implement the constructor for employee?
Class name.
It should be as a class name.
Yeah, it should be the class name. And default constructor means you need not to give any parameters. So here you can directly give the EMP ID. EMP ID equal to, let me give 200. EMP name equal to some name. Basic salary equal to 3,000. Since basic salary is a double, you need to give dot decimal point. So now our constructor is ready. Since we are asking protected scope, we need to give obviously. So constructor also fall under that category. So you have to give the scope. Now come back to developer, that is over here itself. So now what happens is, if you run like this, you won't see that constructor values, because here you are overriding that value. So I mean overwriting it. If you want to see that results, as soon as this object is created, that constructor value will be assigned. That is called the default values, right? So if you want to see that, you need to call that to print employee here itself. You know that actually. If you don't do this, what will happen is the employee ID will be that employee ID only, but that will be replaced by this value, because here you are reassigning the values, right? So that will be overwritten. So let's see what number we give for employee. We are giving 200. Yeah. So I will show you that. I don't want to run this first. As soon as this object is created, the constructor values will be assigned to that constructor, the print for employee class. And since you are again accessing the employee ID and you are assigning other values, that 200 will be replaced by this 100. Like that employee Suresh will be replaced by this Rajesh. Because whenever an object is created, whatever the constructor values are assigned, that is called default values. At any time, you can overwrite the default values. You can give your own values. So that's the reason here we are giving our own values. So now if you run this, we'll come to know as usual, these values will be printed. 100 Rajesh, this one only will be printed. If you want to see how that constructor values are assigned, if you want to see before assigning new values, just to print that so that you will come to know. Now enabled it, run this. Now if you see now, as soon as this developer object is created, it is calling that print employee constructor, parent class constructor. Obviously that value is whatever we assigned, that is printed, right? So because of this print employee we are calling, that is printed here. After that, anyway, we are changing that values. Employee ID, we are assigning new values. After that we are printing, so that is now 100 Rajesh 60,000, like that it is overwritten. So the point is you can access the constructor from child class as well. So that you need to remember, as usual, like other members, you can also access the child constructor as well. And if you want to introduce parameterized constructor, then you need not to give the value from individually, you need not to give all that you know already. So directly while calling the constructor, while creating the object itself, you can give the constructor. Okay, so let's see that quickly. So let's go here. Suppose if you want any parameterized constructor, dynamically if you want to pass the value in the same constructor, anyway we know always it will have the class name, but here introduce the parameters, input parameters, int emp id and the string emp name and the double basic salary, and inside you are going to assign this emp id, because now we are not going to static value, so it's going to come from there wherever we are creating the object. There we are passing the value, that value come here, and that you are assigning over here. So whenever you use this assignment, always you can use this keyword. So that way you can differentiate. This is the data member and this is the input parameter. So now emp name I copy and replace this static value with dynamic, variable, input parameter. This one will be basic salary. So here also this keyword, that is the purpose of this keyword in OOPS concept. It will always refer to the current object, or we can say this will always refer to your data members. So now this is done. Now if you want to make use of this, you create another object from the child class. You can create another object here. So use again the child class name, maybe developer1 I am using now. This developer1 object I am creating using parameterized constructor. So just as usual, use default constructor will come, but you pass the values, then it becomes parameterized constructor, because already we have that there. So I am passing 300, employee ID, name I'm passing, this one basic salary I am passing, basic salary I am passing here. Why it's giving errors? 300. expected
Semicolon.
arguments, but found semicolon, and also still they have expected argument is okay. Somewhere it is not taking. Let's see that. This should be the developer, right? We are creating the object for so here we are creating the object using the child class constructor. Like that, here we cannot do anything, right? So this is the developer, it's not taking, right? Create constructor. Yeah, so this is referring to the child class constructor. So let's see that whether the parameterized constructor, can we do it for this one? Directly you can use the employee. Okay, so come here and directly use employee. This time it says employee has protected access. Okay, we didn't introduce protected or what? Let's go to employee. We have the protected. We have employee, and this is also employee. All these are fine. Employee. This is a child class. This is fine. Employee. Employee into double has protected access modifier in double make employee public. Employee.employee as public.
We are creating for employee class, no? So shouldn't it be employee one equals?
We are creating for the employee class. That is correct. You mean to say employee.employee?
Oh, instead of child class object, even he's asking to mention for parent class.
1 minute. Developer obviously it won't
Yes.
take
Yeah,
because
you should develop all.
developer it okay. Developer
Yeah,
it won't take. Developer it is considering as the child class constructor, because if this is possible, this also should be possible, right? So here we create the object for the child class only. Okay, so if you create, let's do one thing. So let me try with that itself.
Yes.
Developer dot okay, parameterized constructor a little tricky, I think. So we are creating the object for the child class, but this we cannot, it's not taking. If we point to the employee,
Sir, why should we create like two parameter? One is a parameterized constructor and
another one
under
is
it one
normal
parameter. Why
empty.
no?
Now, suppose if you want to pass the
Why we should
data,
create two in
no,
same class?
just to know that only. Okay, so you have both options. Whichever one you can use that. So in the last day we have seen, right? In the constructor we have two types of constructor. If you want to use default constructor, you can give the value like the static value you can give. But in some case, if you want to dynamically pass the values, where at the time of creating the object, then you can introduce the parameterized constructor. So you got my point, right?
Yeah, got it.
We have two options. Whichever you want, you can use that actually. So employee, this is string, this is double. All this looks fine. This is protected also. When you come to developer, here we have employee. it says make employee.employee as public. Okay, let's do that. Employee.employee.
Sorry for interrupting. Can we do like you are creating developer one as an object for developer class, right? And you are referring to employee class. Can we do it like that?
Yeah, we can do this actually. We can, that is called some concept. We can do that actually. Let's see.
Okay.
Required type is, no, we cannot do, required type is provided is employee. Okay. That is called some other concept. I was trying to implement that, but it is not taking. So you can use developer only. So what you can do is directly create a object for the employee. In that case, suppose if you want to make use of param test constructor, you can use this way also. Employee equal to new employee. This time you can give your values. Okay, this is just directly you are creating the object using employee class itself. So this time you will be able to give your, you will be able to use your param test constructor. This time it won't give you any error actually. So right, so this is accepting. Now if you want to give the, let's say here you can give any value, no issue. So if you want to pass the value dynamically, then you can give employee dot. Anyway, already it is taken the value because here itself you are passing the dynamic value. So this employee object will be having these values actually. Employee, when you give employee dot print, okay, now you cannot access the, you cannot see that method actually. So the method will be part of the, this one. Let me do one thing. So let's go to child class. Within the child class, you try to give, yeah, anyway we are okay. What I will do, I will explain this concept tomorrow. Maybe I will refer and I will, let's not waste time in this. Right now we are creating the object for the child class as usual using default constructor. So there should not be any confusion. So this is child, you are creating the object for the child class. Obviously you will be able to access the parent class information using child class object that we did. So that means the parent class default constructor, you are able to access all that fine. So the parent, if you was in somehow, if you want to access the parent class parameterized constructor, that concept little it's not working. I will clarify that in the next class, so that let's not waste time on that. I will explain you there tomorrow. Okay.
I think we can use super keyword, right? To
Yeah, super
initialize
keyword.
parent
Super
class.
keyword you can use. Super keyword you can use from the child class. That is
Child
obviously
class.
fine. From the child, yeah. Super keyword also you can use. Let's try that way also. That's what that's the one I was thinking. Let's have one. See, suppose we have the sprint right here itself. We can use the super. So super means directly you can access the parent class information, right? Employee name, EMPID. So instead of using super class, what we did, just we created a separate object for the child class, and we accessed. If you don't want to use this concept, then you can use super also. So when you want to use super, you need not to create here itself you can access it. Okay, so just you can access like this. Whenever you print this employee, as usual, that will also print. So you can, this I don't want to print because here itself that when you access this, when you call this print developer, first it will do this print of the employee information, and then this will be done. So once again, I need not to print this. So I commented it. Now let us run this. That is the purpose of super keyword also. So we have seen this keyword and now super keyword. So what is the purpose of super keyword? From your child class method, you can use the super keyword to access your parent class information without creating any object. So that is the purpose of super keyword. Okay, so now let me anyway clarify that concept tomorrow. So okay, let me do one thing. Using the super constructor. What is the constructor? Is employee constructor. It won't come like this. So here only you will be able to see the data member. Constructor, whenever you are creating the object, that time only we can see. Okay, I will clarify you that tomorrow. So now we are done with the inheritance. So the next concept is method overloading. Okay, so what is the purpose of method overloading? Method overloading. Okay, method overloading. So method overloading means you are going to perform different, you are going to perform a task in different forms. So that is method overloading. Method overloading. What is that? Performing a task in different forms. See, for example, if you want to add using one, if you want to add multiple numbers, sometimes you will pass, sometimes you will add 2 numbers, sometimes you will add 3 numbers, sometimes you will add 4 numbers. So each and every time you need not to give all the 4 numbers in your function. So for example, let us introduce that here. Using same method name, you will be able to add sometimes 2 numbers also, sometimes 3 numbers also, sometimes 4 numbers also. So that many methods you need to have. For 2 numbers means you need to have just one method for it. 3 numbers, one method. Based on like whenever you call that method, whichever that time like how many numbers you want to pass, you call that particular method. So without changing the method name itself, you will be able to achieve that. The same tasks with different ways you can perform. For that, let us go to let's create one package in the name of method overloading. Method overloading. So here let's create one class. Let's say arithmetic operations. That is the good examples. Let's take that one only. Method overloading. I will mention something like this. So here, as usual, if you want to add 2 numbers, what we will do, you will have as usual the members. I mean data members, int A, int B, right? Int result. Int result. After that, you will have addition. So this time I want to add 2 numbers, so that I will have int A, comma int B. So whenever you want to, when you have this method, only you will be able to add 2 numbers. Whenever you call this method, you will be able to add 2 numbers. But in case if you want to add 3 numbers, what is the procedure? That's where the method overloading comes into picture. Don't use the different method name. Use the same method name, but show the difference in the number of arguments. I'm going to introduce one more argument here. Argument size, show the difference in the argument size. So here there are 2 arguments, here there are 3 arguments, so that this will not be considered as the duplicate method. If you don't have this, then obviously it is the duplicate method, it will not allow you. So addition means you need not to have multiple methods for the addition. I mean, multiple methods mean multiple different method you need not to have. In the different name, you need not to have. Use the same name, but show the difference in the number of arguments. This is one way. You can show the difference in the number of arguments and you can implement the method overloading. That is one way. Suppose without adding the number of without adding the difference in the number of arguments, if you want to implement method overloading, what is the other way? You can make that difference in the data type. So use the same name. Here I used as integer, same I use integer here, but the other value I am going to mention as double. So here, this time also it won't consider this as a duplicate. Why? Because you are making the difference in the data type of the argument. Here it is both arguments are integer. Here one argument is integer, another argument is double. So there are two ways to implement the method overloading. One way is show the difference in the, have the same method, but show the difference in the number of arguments, argument size, or show the difference in the data type of the argument. So using these two rules, you can implement the method overloading. What is the benefit of method overloading? So you need not to have different method for doing the same operation. So that is the main benefit of method overloading. So that is the definition. Perform a task in different forms. So we are going to perform the task addition, but in different forms. That is the main purpose of method overloading. Now just implement the code part. A plus B, assign this to result. Here A plus B plus C, assign this to result. So if you want to introduce this one, anyway it is not needed, because here anyway we are not storing anything. We are directly storing the result into this one. We are storing directly result into, even if you don't have this also, it's fine. Data members also, it is fine. So we are going to only store the result actually. So you can have like this also. So now come to result. This time the result has to be, we already declared as integer here, but here when you add integer plus double, your result has to be the maximum, your result has to be double actually. So, okay, so if you use integer, then it won't allow you, your decimal part will be cut, right? So I'm going to use A plus B. If you notice, the A we have declared as the integer and B declared as the double. But your result you have already as the integer, right? When you add a decimal point with integer value, your result also should have the decimal values, so that commonly you mention this as the double. So this time this error will be gone. But when you use this, then this will give problem. So better use this, keep it as integer only. This time introduce another variable for double itself separately. Result 1. Okay, so this time the error is gone. Here give result 1. So this is way also fine.
There is an error, sir. Like after A plus B plus C, there is a semicolon. There should be.
Yeah, semicolon. A plus B plus C. And if you keep, let's see, because of the semicolon, we got the error or what? Let's see that once. Let's make this as the result. Yeah, obviously because of not that one. So here, let us introduce different result variable. We will use different only. Why? Because you obviously, if you add integer, all integer, and you cannot use double result here. If you add all integers, then your result variable also should be integer. So here you are adding mixed one. When you add mixed one, so your result variable should be double actually. Otherwise, your integer part will get cut. So that we introduced another result one variable as the double. There we are storing this result. So now, as usual, you can at the same time, if you want to do 2 number addition also you can do. If you want to add 3 numbers also you can add. All that you can do. So now let us create one main function and call this. Let's use public static void main string array args. Create one. What is the procedure now? If I want to access this, I want to access this addition. I want to add 3 numbers. What is the procedure now I need to do? Anyone?
Need to create object for that.
No, can you repeat? I didn't hear you properly.
We should
No,
create an
create
object.
object and then pass the parameter.
Okay, so I create object now.
So Rama, can we use this keyword here and then call that method by assigning the values?
This keyword is only you can use if you are using the constructor. So other than that, you need not to use this keyword. So class name I mentioning, you can mention any object name and new keyword. Again, mention the class name, but this time this is the constructor. Okay, you have to use this is the syntax. Either you can have this constructor, or if you don't have it also, it is fine. You can give your values. All you have as the almost this is the parameterized method, right? Anyway, you will be giving the value here, so that you need not to have this explicitly defined this constructor over here and giving the value. It need not. So now I want to add these 3 numbers. Then what I need to do?
Just obj one dot that particular method name and pass 3 values.
Yes. So if you notice here, you will see addition, all same method, but showing the difference. Whenever you want to add 3 numbers, call this. Whenever you want to add the mixed data type, call this. But anyway, it's not going to make any difference here. It's all one method only, but here you can select. Here you can select implement 3 numbers means add 3 numbers, give 3 numbers values. That is the purpose of method overloading. In this, after doing that, I want to print that immediately. So in that case, you need to introduce one print method separately. Okay, so always just introduce another print method, print result. Here system dot out dot println the result variable I am printing. So as soon as you give this value dynamically, it will call this particular addition, 3 numbers addition method will be called, and the result will be printed. Will be do the calculation, result will be printed in the result variable, and immediately you are printing it. So obj1 dot print result. All that already we know that. So now let us execute this. So all these 3 numbers are added. Suddenly, if I want to add 2 numbers or mixed data type, you call that particular, you pass the values accordingly. So obj1 dot, again, I want to add only 2 numbers. So I will provide only 2 values as input. Print obj1 dot print result. Run this. Now that is also fine. So in any case, if you want to add mixed values. obj1 dot. Now give the mixed values. Here I am giving dot some value. obj1 dot print result. Now let's run this. My same number it is taking, right? Did we give the two numbers we are adding? Let's say 50 plus 50.98, and then we'll run this. No, that should be the result to 1, right? So we have stored that in the result to 1, so that for that you can have the separate, the result will be there in the result to 1, right? But we have the print method for the result only.
Yes.
So just introduce another print method, print result 1.
So instead of having print values always, I think we can use return type, return, right?
Return type also you can use, that we have seen yesterday. So it's however like you want, like you can use. If you are going to use a return type, then use just instead of void, you use the corresponding data type and a return statement. So that way you can implement the method with return value. So here I'm going to use println result 1. So now when you call this, call the result 1 method. That's all. So now this is also fine. So that's the way we need to implement method overload, because method overloading and all you'll use very frequently. So that is the reason you need to know about that. And with this, so we are going to complete. I mean, we are going to stop the Java concepts. Now we are going to start with the Selenium concepts now. So
But can you explain, method overloading and method overriding? They're two concepts, right? In inherit this thing. So can you explain that one also?
method overriding basically method overriding I'm not covering as part of the workshop. That's the reason I'm just
those two, right, sir? Usually in inheritance, there are two concepts, right?
yes. In two concepts, I'm not covering as part of the workshop. If you want,
Usually method overriding comes in under polymorphism, right?
That comes in polymorphism both. Okay, inheritance is separate. Method overloading and method overriding is part of polymorphism.
That means in Selenium or in our frameworks, we don't use the method overriding.
We will use, but all that is that's what I initially itself I said. It's a short time course, right? It's a short time. I cannot have time to complete a method overriding and all, right? So method
no
overloading is part of polymorphism. I will mention it here in bracket, or mention here. What is polymorphism? Performing a task in different ways, different forms. Performing a task in different forms. Simple definition. So that example we have seen now. Okay, so that is the polymorphism. So another is method overriding. Explore yourself. Otherwise, I will cover that in a longer course. I will come back to you on that the last day. Now we are going to start with the Selenium concepts. So what is the use of Selenium? So So everyone we know, right? Selenium is basically the automation tool where we are going to interact with the external applications and we are going to perform some task like manually. If you want to do something, if you want to create your email ID, you open that browser and you go to interact with the text box, you type your name, all that we can do through Selenium automation tool, right? So where it's a tool means you will not have like a separate UI like IntelliJ IDEA and all. You will not have separate UI and all, but you will have something called Selenium libraries, Selenium WebDriver jars. If we include that in our existing project also, you will be able to do your Selenium automation, right? So all these core Java concepts, it's the programming, right? The programming concepts, it's all about the core Java concepts, right? Whenever you want to work with the external applications, clicking on object, typing something, getting some text from the object, everything, still you have to follow all these procedures, all these concepts. Along with that, you will be able to interact with the external applications. For that, you are going to introduce this Selenium configuration. So it's basically Selenium. We are going to see here the Selenium WebDriver. So Selenium WebDriver, we are going to say this as an interface. Selenium WebDriver we are going to configure. Selenium WebDriver is an interface. We need to configure either manually or through POM file. That is the purpose we created the Maven project. So through POM file. So manually, if you want to configure, you have to follow some manual steps. So you need to go to usually all these Selenium libraries, libraries for Selenium with Java and Selenium with C#. Like that, we can use Selenium along with Java. You can use Selenium along with Python. You can use Selenium along with C#. Only the code scripting language will change, but you can use the Selenium along with other languages. Here we are going to use Selenium with Java, along with Selenium with Java. So if you are going to manually configure Selenium, then always you need to go to the official website of Selenium, is Selenium Dev official website, that is https selenium.dev. Right, Selenium Dev. From there you need to download your installable. So let's go to Selenium Dev. Selenium Dev. Here you can come to downloads. Okay, come to downloads. And come to this Java. Okay, so Selenium Java library you can download. You can click here. The stable version is 4.5.0. You can download this. As soon as it is downloaded, it will get downloaded in downloads folder. Let me go there. Yeah, just still it is downloading. Let it download. Once it is downloaded, right, we are going to extract it. That will be having the Selenium Java libraries that we are going to manually we are going to configure through project structure. There will be libraries option here. Here you can add. So even after extracting, you can create one folder in your project under project itself. So you need not to keep it separately. Just create one folder in the name of, I will create right away. I go to right click, directory, jars. Either you can create jars or I will create as libraries. Here you can keep that. So let's say I think it is downloaded. I'll go to downloads folder. So it is downloaded. Selenium Java library is downloaded. Just you can extract it. Extract. I already have one. I just replace that. So here you will have all these libraries, all these, and instead of copying everything, you just copy the entire folder itself in your folder. Let me cut this and paste it. Here or directly, yeah, let's go to Windows Explorer of this from here. Open in an Explorer. Is somebody doing anything?
Yeah, we also see some red lines, and we thought it's coming from your side.
I didn't do anything. Is
Maybe
the
some kids are
whiteboard
there. The system.
whiteboard stuff, huh?
Yeah. Be any kids or something, they're doing something on the system.
Let me see how I can delete this. There is no option here. Okay, let's not waste time. Let's see. Okay, so you can either copy the entire folder under libraries, or directly also you can copy under the root folder, or you can copy all the libraries, cut and paste under libraries. So that is something manually you need to do all these steps. After, okay, let's go there, and instead of copying to libraries, yeah, go there, right click, open in Explorer, go to that folder. We downloaded it here, right? Just copy that entire, cut and paste into libraries folder, so that you will be able to see that in your IntelliJ IDEA editor. So if you now expand this, right, all the libraries we have over here, then you can go back to your file, project structure, and add here Java. Okay, so now let's point to this path where we downloaded it. Copy this path and select this folder. Give OK. Give that. Okay, now we are referring to this particular Selenium Java 4.5, our libraries we have configured, and you can give apply and you can do. After that, we have to implement that in some set property. You can create driver. All these steps you need not to do if you are going to use the POM file. So manually you have brought your libraries from the Selenium website. You did all these things. After that, we have two more steps. You have to set the set property and all that. But I'm suggesting you not to do that because we created this as the Selenium, the Maven project, so that you can directly go to the POM file, and we are going to include one dependency over here. So that dependency, again for the Selenium Java only. So for that, what you need to do is you just go to the Maven repository. For any Maven library, Selenium libraries or TestNG libraries, anything you can get it from Maven repository. So let's go to Maven repository. Okay, here, this is the Maven repository basically. Here, search for Selenium. Search. So the initially itself you will be able to see this Selenium Java, right? Just click on that Selenium Java. Here you will have all the versions. So go to the latest version 4.5.0. That is the one we have also downloaded. Just to click on that link and copy the dependency here. So here you will be able to see the dependency. Even if you want to download manually also, even you need not to go to the Selenium website. Just you can click the jar here and you can download whatever you have downloaded from there. That also you can download from here. But anyway, we need not to do that manually. So you are going to copy this dependency to your POM file. So it will be very easy. And already this POM file has JUnit dependency, right? That as part of creating the project itself, by default, that will come. Let it be as it is, no issue. If we don't want, we will delete it. Then paste this dependency and delete this comment, no need. Whenever you make some change in your POM file, I told that you can either click on this icon and reload Maven project, or right click, go to Maven. There will be option called to reload the project. That also you can do that from here. Anyway, it's already we clicked on that icon. It's reloaded. Now this change got affected. Because of this change, you are able to see these external libraries, everything here. As soon as it is getting saved, you will be able to see that all that over here. So that you need not to follow that approach. Even if you want to delete this, it's perfectly all right. You can delete that. So if you go to project structure, you can delete this also, no issue. So, or if you keep it also, no issue. Let's come back to this dependency, right? Now it's all downloaded over here. As soon as it is saved, it will get downloaded into your external libraries. These are all the Selenium libraries. Once this is done, how we are going, we have some concept called the WebDriver instance. We need to create the WebDriver instance. Through that instance, we are going to work with the Selenium external applications. For that, you have another library called WebDriver Manager. So that WebDriver manager, again, you can go back to your Maven repository and you can download that one more library, which will avoid your manual steps. So go to WebDriver, search for WebDriver manager. Okay, so when you search for WebDriver manager, you will be able to see this WebDriver manager. Under that, you will see io.github.bonicarcia. You can download this dependency. So come to this, copy this dependency. You can put it into POM file. So paste that. Okay, after this is the for Selenium. This is the 2 configuration steps we need to do. Then we are good to automate any external applications. The 2 only web applications we will be able to automate using Selenium. It will not support Windows based, desktop applications. So now let's go to.
Sir, can you tell me the use of the dependency of Selenium a WebDriver manager?
Yeah, that's the one we are coming now. Okay, so the use of WebDriver manager, you need not to point your if you want to configure Selenium manually, there are 2 steps. First, you need to 3 steps. First, you need to download the Selenium libraries from Selenium website, and then you need to put it over here that we did, and then we configured also through project structure. That is the first step. The second step is also you need to download the browser drivers. There is a concept called browser drivers that also you can download from the Selenium website. The corresponding browser driver. Suppose if you want to work with the Selenium, different browsers, Firefox, Internet Explorer, you need to download the exe browser driver exe from these links. You need to download, and you need to map that browser driver when you create the instance, WebDriver instance, because all these 3 steps you can avoid if you are going to use this WebDriver manager. So you need not to, already there are, the code is written, it's everything is there in this WebDriver manager library. You can just simply use, you can just set up the browser driver easily. So that is the purpose of this WebDriver manager that we are going to do now. Let's go to, as usual in our project, let us create one. Initially, when we created as normal Maven project along with Git, right? Now we are implementing the Selenium in this project itself, right? For that, going forward, we are going to automate some application, right? For that, I'm going to create a package here itself. Just go to Java, right click, create one. All Selenium code we will put it under Selenium package. Com dot params dot Selenium. Okay, I created one Selenium package, and I am also going to create one base package because we are going to develop this as a framework level. So that what I'm going to do, I'm going to introduce one package called base package. Here you can keep all the common code. So for example, we are going to create one WebDriver instance for Selenium that I'm going to keep as a common code here. So that I'm creating a separate package, base package. There I'm going to create one class for the Selenium WebDriver instance to start with the Selenium WebDriver instance, or even you can have this package. Let me delete. Let all Selenium related, we'll have it under Selenium package itself. So that I will delete this. I didn't have this under Selenium package. I will create this under Selenium package itself. So go here, right click. always you can point to here itself, Java create package. This time I'm going to mention com dot tech params dot. Within the Selenium, we will create base package. Okay, so now in the under the base package, let's create one class in the name of base itself. But this time, class name starts with capital letter. So anyway, it will not get confused. This is different. The package is different. This is package, this is the class. In this class, we are going to use that WebDriver manager concept. So what is the WebDriver manager concept is we are going to create in Selenium the root object. The root, we call that as the interface, right? Public WebDriver, public WebDriver, and you can mention a driver instance. Okay, WebDriver is one instance. WebDriver is a interface. You are creating one object, you are creating one instance from that interface. Using this instance, you will be able to interact with the external application. So right now, first time we are introducing this WebDriver interface in this package, in this class, so that you need to import it. So if you would have not configured the Selenium, you will not be able to see this itself. So you will not be able to see this import class itself. This is part of Selenium. Why the Selenium comes? Because already we have included Selenium dependency and it is there in our external libraries section here. All the Selenium libraries are configured. Because of that, you can create your WebDriver instance. We have created now. So all your Selenium code will start your WebDriver instance. First, you need to create the WebDriver instance. After that, you can interact with web elements and all that. We are going to see that. So for creating the WebDriver instance, I declared one data member. Now you know the core Java concepts, right? Just like that, we cannot work with the Selenium. Obviously, we are going to use the Selenium core Java code only, right? As usual, we created one class. We introduced one data member, that is WebDriver instance. After that, you can introduce this WebDriver manager. So since this WebDriver manager library dependency already we included in our POM file, we included two dependency. One is for Selenium, another one is for WebDriver manager, that is from io.github.bonicrci, right? Because of that library, you can directly use this WebDriver manager class. So here what we are going to do, this WebDriver manager class, here you are going to perform some action so that it has to be under one method. And our main purpose is we are going to create the driver instance to work with external application. So that I'm going to name a method in the name of get driver instance. I'm going to write one method for this in this base package. Whenever I want to create a WebDriver instance, I'm going to call this method. So void get driver instance. From here, I'm going to explain this, why I'm going to use this input parameter, because we know as part of core Java concept, we have seen we can create a method with input parameter, or we can create a method without input parameter and all that. But right now I need this input parameter. Here also I have WebDriver driver. Don't confuse with that, I will tell you. So whenever it's not a WebDriver driver, it's a browser, actually browser type. Okay, so whenever you want to create a WebDriver instance, you also need to tell them tell what kind of browser are you going to automate in the Edge browser, or are you going to automate in the Chrome browser to tell that you are going to introduce this input parameter, and always you are going to pass the value from other test code. Okay, we are going to introduce the test code concept. I will tell you right now. To create the driver instance, we need browser driver. That's what I said. If you want to do the manual configuration, you need to do three things. One is first configure the Selenium libraries manually, and then download the browser drivers from Selenium website. You need to map it. That part here we are using browser driver. You need not to do that because already we have downloaded that, implemented that WebDriver Manager library. Because of that, you can use directly here browser type. Here, what I'm going to do, switch. So sometimes you may pass Edge, or sometimes you may pass Chrome. So you have to have the switch statement and case. If it is the Chrome, then you are going to create the Chrome driver instance. If it is the Edge, if you are passing Edge, then you are going to create Edge driver instance. That code you are going to put over here. If it is the Firefox, then if you are passing as a Firefox, then here the Firefox instance will be created. For that we are going to make use of this WebDriver Manager, right? So now we are going to introduce this. We are going to make use of this WebDriver Manager class, WebDriver Manager dot WebDriver Manager, right? Just select it. Since you are first time using this, you need to import that class over here like WebDriver, right? It's already imported. If you see here, ivo.github.bonigarcia.wdm.webdriver manager is imported. Now, as usual,
Here,
you can,
here is extra actually.
yeah. So let's see that over here.
No, spell mistake.
Spelling mistake. Okay. So WebDriver Manager. Here you can select dot Chrome driver. This is Chrome option, so I select Chrome driver dot setup. This one line is enough. You can completely avoid all that manual steps. After that, what we are going to do is already. So now this WebDriver Manager dot Chrome driver dot setup will do the browser driver of like Chrome driver setup. This will do. We need not to do anything else. Directly now you can create your instance. What is our instance? We need to, whenever you work with Selenium, the first thing is we need to create the driver instance, right? WebDriver instance. That's already we have declared here. So that I'm going to use this driver variable data member here, driver dot driver equal WebDriver Manager dot setup, driver equal, setup is done, and then driver dot
Good.
wait here we need to return this driver. We need one more step actually. So we need to create that driver instance. So driver equal to new, because driver instance is still not created. We only declared there. Here you are going to create the instance, because when it's like creating the object. So we said, right, object create. If you want to access anything in the class, we create the object that is called instance, right? We create the instance always using new keyword of Chrome driver. This one. Now you are done with your Selenium setup. Now on this driver instance, you can interact with the external application. Okay, so today we will stop here. Let me put in case if you pass Edge, this is if you pass Chrome in this input parameter, then it is going to execute this one. Suppose if you pass Edge, then we have to write the Chrome driver instance Edge driver instance creation. So again, I'm going to make use of this web driver manager class. That is the main benefit. Dot here you can select edge driver dot setup, and again you have the common data member to create the driver instance. So I use that driver equal to new edge driver. So now the edge driver instance will be created. Likewise for Firefox also. So web driver manager dot Firefox driver dot setup and driver dot driver equal to new Firefox driver. And driver dot, yeah, that's all. So we will return this driver anyway, because here itself we are going to use this get driver instance as a reusable code, so that we are going to return this driver. So then only we can perform something on this driver. So but right now I have used this as the void. We cannot return, right? If you want to return, then we know the core Java concept, right? We need to introduce this data type of this driver instance. What is the data type of this driver instance? Can anyone tell?
Any string value?
Not string value. The data type of this driver instance is web driver only. So already we have declared here, right? So now in core Java, we have seen the variable declaration, right? That is like int, float, double. That is basic core data types. But when you are in a framework, when you are in separate Selenium libraries, you need to consider this as like data type. So that means this is the web driver class, web driver interface you have. In that web driver interface, you have one using that web driver interface, you are creating one variable. So that way you can think. So basically this is object, but if you related these two variable declaration, then this is kind of data type, this is kind of variable, right? So in your return value, you are going to mention the data type of this object. That means the this interface. So that is the return type here, web driver. Obviously, you are going to mention this as the public, because from any other class you may be calling this method. So that is the reason we have completed access modifier concept in core Java, right? So now when I say public web driver is the return type, and this is the method name, all that you will know easily. So anyway, we already completed public access modifier. So I'm going to make this method as the public, so that you can call from any other class of other package, no issue. So since we have introduced the return type, we have to use the return keyword. Otherwise, always it is going to tell you the error here, missing return statement. It will give you the error, right? So where we are going to return, because we are going to return only one, because here we have switch case. Out of multiple options, you are going to select one option. Obviously, your result will be in the driver. Driver is your result. You are going to return from here. Return driver. So if you are going to return the driver, we know you may have some other variable in wherever you are calling this method. There you can introduce another data type. Again, there also it's a web driver only, because this data type of this driver is the web driver. Already we know that. So there you introduce one web driver to hold that this driver instance, because you cannot assign this driver instance to another normal string variable and all, because this comes under this data type of this driver is web driver. So that there we will create one web driver instance variable. There we will assign this driver. From there we will be able to interact with the external applications. So we develop this as a framework, right? That is the reason I didn't directly create the one driver instance and we didn't progress. Okay, we are creating this as the whole automation framework. That is the reason I wanted to keep this as a separate reusable code within a base package. So from tomorrow what we are going to do is we are going to call this get driver instance. On that driver instance we are going to perform the automation, actual automation. There we are going to introduce which URL we are going to invoke, and then how we can interact with the various web elements. Okay, so anyway, it's already time out. That we will continue from tomorrow. So tomorrow what we are going to do is we are going to introduce the Selenium concepts, and parallelly we are going to introduce TestNG concepts. Because when you want to make multiple test cases, when you want to automate, then you need to introduce testing framework there, right? So tomorrow we are going to complete the Selenium concepts quickly, and also parallelly we are going to introduce TestNG concept. Once that is done, that will be our fourth this will be our fourth day, right? So tomorrow will be fourth day today. Tomorrow fifth day, TestNG and Selenium will be complete. And Saturday we will introduce Maven concept. Through Maven we will trigger our automation script, and we will also trigger our automation script from Jenkins. All that concept we will complete on Saturday. Sunday we will dedicate for the BDD framework. So that we will complete the end-to-end.
Any reporting you are going to include, Rama?
Can you come again?
No, reporting part.
Reporting part, we will use the default TestNG reporting. I will cover that. The default TestNG reporting part, I will cover that. Yes.
And using this WebDriver manager, can we even use like Windows Safari browser? Can we invoke that?
Yes. You can use Safari. Safari is related to iOS, right?
No, Windows Safari, like we will be installing.
Yeah. You can use this. You can create one more case here, and you can use that as well. So go to Safari case.
Yeah,
Safari.
using this thing when I like in our office also, when we try to invoke Edge itself, it is not working. So
Using this, it will work,
yes.
because I will show you that we are going to work on that only.
Okay. Because exclusively I will be downloading the driver and associate it.
No need.
And after 1 month again there will be some change in the version.
Yeah.
Again I have to download and associate.
Yeah. That's what we can avoid that. You can always go with the WebDriver manager. And for Safari, let's see whether we have the driver for Safari in this or not. So you are is Safari driver also we have no issue in that. So you can do that. Safari is set up also. And here as usual you can use driver equal to new Safari driver. Anyway, we have the return, but the return we need to put it in the next statement. I guess it gives the error. So here you put return. Let's see. That error is gone. Okay. This is what the version compatibility. Sometimes if they ask you to test in Chrome browser, you are going to pass Chrome as an input. That we will set it up. Whenever you want to run this in Edge browser, just pass Edge, so that your entire automation script will run on Edge browser. So usually we will be under impression that we need to write code in for different browser. There may be some code change we need to write differently. Not like that. Just one code. You can run these on any browsers. So that is the purpose of we create one driver instance. Maybe for Chrome means it will run on Chrome entire automation. Edge means it will invoke Edge browser and it will work on that. So that is the main purpose of having this common code. So from tomorrow, we will invoke this. I mean, we will call this and we will create many stuff. So tomorrow we'll continue with that.
Rama, if you don't mind, can you just go through like pom.xml, the header part of it?
Pom.xml basically we know, right? By default, it will create when you create as your Maven project. So the header part and all, even you need not to worry about all these things. Already it is created and it will give you. Here, whenever you want to add any libraries, for example, going forward, we are going to add testng dependency. All that dependencies should come under this dependencies tag. Dependencies tag. So by default, it will be having one dependencies there where you can have multiple dependency. So that is the reason each tag starts with one dependency and ends with the dependency. So if you are going to have a Selenium library, this is another dependency. You copy from Maven repository and paste it. Likewise, for even this we got from Maven repository. That is where you can get every libraries from Maven repository. After that, going forward, we are going to implement testng libraries also. We are going to download this dependency from Maven repository and we are going to implement here. In POM file, this is the main thing you need to know. So dependency, how to manage dependencies, we need to know that. Already we know that. Apart from that, we have something called build section. Okay, that build section, it is a kind of automation, right? Automatically, if you include some plugins, automatically it will do the build management and reporting management. If you want to include some report generation, all that we are going to do under build section. So the build section will start with build tag like this. Within this build section, we are going to do many things like plugin management. This will be covered in Maven class. Okay, so that time I will tell you all this. Plugin management and various plugins you can put over here. Plugin management, and if you give plugins, this is also plural. That means you can have multiple plugin under this. So you can have multiple plugin you can include. Why we are going to use this multiple plugin, that I will cover as part of Maven class. So we have some concept there. So whenever you consider POM file, this build management and dependency management is what we are going to frequently use. So this you need to know. And apart from that, if you want to introduce some variables and all that, you can put that under properties and you can access that as well. So all that we will see that. In that Maven class, we will see that. Okay.
Because sometimes at properties level also it was throwing error, so I was not getting actually why it was throwing error.
The properties, so initially we got one error. For if you remember, when we did that Hello World program, we got one error related to this property because we didn't add this source. Just we clicked on that link and it got added. This property anyway, these are all system properties automatically it takes, no need to worry about it. And if you are going to introduce your own property, you can include that as well here. You can introduce what property you want to, for example, the browser type, or we can pass from here itself. So whenever you pass Chrome from here, just create one property for Chrome. If you pass Chrome, then Chrome browser will invoke. If you pass Edge, the Edge browser, all that you can, for that you can introduce one property here and you can pass the data. So that is the main purpose of this property value concept. I will cover as part of further automation that.
I mean, like if we are initializing 10 drivers code there in switch case, we can restrict it to only one browser here.
One browser. That browser you
Acha,
can give
okay.
input from here. That's what I said.
Okay.
Just now, right? You can, if you pass Chrome, then we can, but we need to get this value. That for that we need again code. I will tell you all that as part of TestNG. I will tell you all that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all for today. And let's see, any questions are there? No
So
questions today.
can we do cross-browser testing as well by using these multiple web driver like a Chrome, Edge? We have these are all right.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we take any two drivers and we can automate our application on both the browsers like that?
No, you need not to put a separate code for automated different browsers and all. That's what I said. That is the main concept of introducing this common code. So as I said, sometime before also I said, if you want to test your code in Edge browser, all these setup already we have done. So only pass the Edge browser, Edge or Chrome. See, for example, first you want to test your application using Chrome browser. So I will pass Chrome as an input from here so that your entire automation code will be running on the Chrome browser.
No,
And if
I'm
you,
telling like a cross-browser testing, sir. Same time, one application is running on different browser.
same time for that you need to use a Selenium grid concept.
Oh, that's a different.
Okay. Yeah, Selenium grid concept, but the code will be same. So so here also for Selenium, if you are using Selenium grid concept also, this is the basic. At the same, only thing is using Selenium grid, you are going to run at the same time, so that there also you need the input. Whether you are in one instance you give Chrome as the input, in another instance you give Edge as the input, so that at the same time it will be running using Selenium grid concept. It will be running, but the providing input, it's all like that's the cross-browser testing.
Base.
Base. From the base it will select based on your input. It will get selected and it will create the instance of that particular browser and it will run. So instead of running parallelly, since you have more like 1,000 test cases you want to achieve in shorter time, you are going to introduce Selenium grid concept. But assume you have a limited number of test cases, that is also cross-browser testing, right? So first you test the entire code in one browser. Again you are going to check whether all these will be working fine in another browser or not. What you do that time, you just change your input to another browser, so that run your code again. It is going to run. So it is basically the cross-browser testing that we can do it here as well. So in our TestNG concept, when we start, I will tell you that how we can run our code in different browser. We'll see that. Right. So we don't have any other questions, I guess, today. So let's wind up today. Let's catch up tomorrow the same time. Thank you all. Thank you all. Let's catch up tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, Ram.
Yeah, thank you all.